Ever heard of the story of a frog in boiling water? If you have, bear with me while I repeat for those who have not. So in an experiment, a frog was put in a bowl of water, in a pan of water, and the pan was put on stove. The stove was put on and the temperature of water was raised gradually. Obviously the frog felt uncomfortable, shook a little bit here and there and moved from the center of the pan towards the side where the temperature of water was a little more comfortable. Now since the pan was still on the stove, the temperature kept raising and gradually the frog realized that it was getting a little more uncomfortable. It moved a little bit more and then it moved towards the side where the water was still bearable. Soon enough, the temperature of water raised to a level which started to become intolerable for the frog. By now, the frog realized that this was getting really hot and he had to get out of that situation. And the frog started to move and get restless. Now the frog started to make an attempt to jump out of the pan. But by this time, a lot of its energy had gone into adjusting to the temperature of water and moving from here, from one point to the other in the pan. So the frog tried very hard but could not jump and the water started to boil. And you do not want to imagine what happened next, but it was not a good sight. What really happened? The frog adjusted, which is a good thing. Life throws lemons at you. It's a good idea to make lemonade. It's a good idea to adjust to the situations or adapt to the situations that you are in. However, adjusting too much often does not lead to good results. Why are we talking about it here? So if you're beyond a certain age, you realize that your adjustments are not limited to picking your not so favorite chocolate over your favorite, playing the game that your best friend likes over what you would really like. Now those adjustments we can deal with, but as life gets trickier, we grow up, the situations demand more of us and our adjustments become more complex. Now it's all right as long as these do not impact our core values. But the moment our adjustments start to impact our core values, the level of discomfort may be something similar to the boiling water. You may not realize it initially and you may try to adjust a little bit, but before you realize, it would be so bad that you would not be able to get out of it, or you will be able to get out of it only dead. Now that sounds scary. I didn't mean to scare you, but I mean to emphasize on the significance of living your values every single day. Now if you're blessed to have a life which gives you an opportunity to live your values most of the times during the day, then you would have and you will always experience enhanced fulfillment. On the other hand, like I always say, you may have the grandest of lives and still experience a lot of inner turmoil and pain and suffering in different forms if your life is hindering your experience of your core values. Of course, for you to know that, you need to be aware of your core values, and that's the exercise we did in our last video. In this section, we want to talk about how, once we identify our non-negotiable values, do we put that knowledge to life? How do we choose a life which gives us an experience of our top core values? How do we stay away from things which obstruct our experience of our values? So let's get started. Before I proceed, I want to tell you how your values look like in real life. Now your values combined with your attitude, your values drive your attitude, and to the outside world, your attitude and values appear in the form of your behavior. Now, for me, for example, if health is one of my values, I'll most likely feel fit. Now, that does not mean that I will look like the fittest person in the fitness industry, but I personally will feel fitter. I may have a pain here and there, I may fall sick now and then, but my holistic experience of health would be fine. Okay, so my experience of my values appear in the form of my behaviors. Yeah. So it's very important for us to know which particular values appear in what form of behaviors for us. Now, health for me may not mean what health means to you. So even if there are two individuals with same set of non-negotiable values, their behaviors will be really different, and that's okay for them. That's okay for them as long as they are able to experience their values in terms of their own behavior and their own likeliness. So here, the 4 steps to live our values are: first, of course, very obvious, to discover our top core values, to understand the behaviors driven by these values. So when I feel healthy, how do I behave? When I feel free, how do I behave? So on and so forth for the rest of your non-negotiable values. You also want to identify, and this is very important, you want to identify the current threats. Now understand that I am talking about current threats and not perceived threats, because that may cause anxiety. You want to look at only the current situation, your current life, and identify the things or current situations or the elements in your life that are causing threat to your core values right now. Once you've identified your current threats, it becomes a little simpler, and all you have to do is address these threats. Now, I do not mean that you identify all those threats and start acting on each one of them starting today, because it may not be feasible, but we'll look at it later. We will also understand what we can do for things that we think we cannot fix right away. Okay? But first thing first, in order to live a life of fulfillment and to achieve success in our own terms, we need to live our values day in and day out. And for us to be able to do that, we need to discover our values. We need to understand how those values look like in real life for us in terms of our behaviors and attitude. We need to identify the current threats to our values, and we need to work out ways, or at least make a plan of working out on ways to address these threats. So without wasting any more time, of course, bring a pen and paper, pause the video if you don't have it right now. You know how these videos that I'm going to make are. These in real life would really convert into an hour or an hour and a half long session. So you want to really use this opportunity and try it before you reject the idea. So get your pen and paper and let's proceed. So I will start with taking examples of my core values. These are what I had discovered in when I did this exercise for myself. And okay, so this is bothering me a little bit, so I will just remove it. So these are my core values, and I will take example of the top 3 for me. I stand by these in the given order. I will take the example of the top 3. We'll first look at the behaviors which manifest out of these values for me, and then the current threats and how I plan to acknowledge the threats or the current threats to these top values. So for you, pick up your top 3 values. Maybe pick up just one for now, and once the video is over, in your with your own sweet time, repeat the practice for all your values. So pick up one. For example, peace of mind. What would you do if you had a lot of peace of your mind, the desired peace of your mind? What would you do if you were really happy with your health? So do that. When I say what would you do, I mean write down your behaviors. So for me, if I have peace of mind, I will sleep really well. At least that's one thing that I'm very sure of. If I feel healthy, I will sleep really well. If I feel free, I will speak my heart. I will dress up the way I want. I'll eat what I want to and when I want to. And those are just a few behaviors. An exhaustive list of the top 3 behaviors for me is here. For me, peace of mind means no anxiety, calm days, where I could be by myself and not rush. So sometimes just sitting down for 10 minutes doing nothing, away from your phone, away from TV, away from your laptop, away from book, and even away from your pen and paper, just sitting down can be really, really intimidating for a lot of us. That means that there's something that's always on our mind. But if I have a lot of peace of mind, I would not mind that. So this is how peace of mind looks like to me in my day-to-day life. Health looks like this. and I'm not spending a lot of time here, you can always pause the video and have a look. Freedom to me looks like this: the choice to be, do, and have what I want, the choice to travel as I wish, speak my heart, and to have my own routine. So these are my top values and the behaviors manifesting out of those. Now do that exercise for either all of your top values or non-negotiable values, or for one for now, and let's proceed to see what we do next. So once we've identified these behaviors, we can look at these behaviors and identify what's causing a lack of sleep for me. If I've been experiencing anxiety lately, now on I would start to pause when I feel anxious and pay attention to what is really causing this anxiety. What is making me worry? Is it the fear of losing my job or the fear of catching an infection, because this is, the COVID crisis time? Could be any reason, it could be real, not real. We're not getting into whether you should be anxious about it or not and how to deal with your anxiety. That's probably something that we can cover up later, and trust me, I have had a very first-hand encounter with mental health and anxiety. So I have a thing or two to share there. Anyway, without deviating any further, your behaviors will make it very easy for you to identify the threats to your values. What's causing a lack of sleep? Are you experiencing pain in any part of your body? Is there any disease or ailment that you're suffering from? Are you on medications? If health is your value, are you feeling free in your day-to-day life? And whatever your value is, if love is your value, how do you experience love? What does being loved look like to you? And then once you've written down those values, identify each value and see what is causing you to not experience that behavior. And that will look something like this. So we've got a newborn puppy at home and I am taking care of it for now, and that is disturbing my pattern of sleep. Yes, I'm being very honest here to say that I've got a few relatives who are very judgmental, and I've not been able to really develop thick skin while I'm working on it, but those also cause a lack of peace of mind, especially when I'm around them or when I communicate with them. I'm just being very honest here. You might want to write about your, favorite bosses, your unfriendly friends. So there could be any reasons, anything which is causing a lack of peace of mind, or your struggle with your top core values. So when you look at your behavior, look at what's causing you to not behave in that fashion, the fashion in which makes you experience those values. Do that for one value or for all of them. I will not repeat. Come up with a list of your daily behaviors which are in conflict with your ideal behaviors if you were to live your values. Moving on, now is the time to address your threats. So here I will take a little bit of time. No, I do not have solutions to all your problems, but I can say this from my own experiences, and I've experienced quite a lot on this subject. I can say that acknowledgement and acceptance is a good space to start off. So if you're aware of this X being a problem in you experiencing your top core values, and from your awareness, if you can acknowledge that I know that this exists, I don't like it or I'm okay with it, but this problem exists, then that is a very, very good space to start off. So first of all, accept that yes, there is a colleague that is causing me troubles with living my top core values. There is a friend who is in trouble, and because I care for them, I am not at peace of mind, and that's causing me a compromise on my top core value. Whatever the reason is, whatever the situation is, good, bad, it makes you look ugly or beautiful, acknowledge it. It exists, and your ignorance of it will not change a thing. So acknowledge it as a good first step. Accept it if you cannot do anything else about it. What is the difference between acknowledging and accepting? When you acknowledge something, you just acknowledge its existence. You may or may not be okay with it. When you accept it, it's your way of getting peace with it. So let's say there are judgmental relatives talking to whom bothers me or leaves me disturbed for a while. Now I need to accept that I am not saint. I am bothered by such relatives. A lot of us struggle with this acceptance, but I will acknowledge that yes, this happens to me. I am very much human and it bothers me. So that's my acknowledgement. Now I assess whether or not I can get away with these people, and if for the moment in my current situation, if I decide that no matter how they are, I cannot get rid of them, then I might as well accept them, that they are the way they are. They may have their reasons or not, they bother me, that's it, how it is, but I will seek my peace with it because I have to live with it. Now that does not mean I keep suffering, but at least I am aware that it's going to be like it is, and I will try to make my peace with it. If not, what is it that I'm going to do? So, or even if yes, I accept, what's my next course of action? Talk to them lesser, not be around them much, avoid them at every possible situation, or whenever I talk to them and do not really encourage their debates or opinions where there is a difference, not get into arguments, etc. So when you accept that there is a situation which is bothering you, which is causing you to not lead or experience your top core values, accept it and find out a way to act. Now when you make a plan of action, you will not be able to execute it right away, but this awareness will help you great deal. So I had a colleague talking to who would always leave me disturbed for whatever reason. Now I made a plan that I cannot get away with them because they're pretty much part of my team, and it is a part of my growth to continue to be the good human being that I am with everybody around me, regardless of my judgment of them, which may be wrong. So that was my acceptance. I decided that the next time that I'm around them, I will ensure that I am slow, I pause before I respond, and whatever they say, my responses will always start with a pause. And trust me, that brought about a great deal of change in my relationship with them and my own experience of peace with them around. So the three things we need to do in order to address those threats or concerns to our values are acknowledge, accept, and make a plan of action. Act on these. Also, what I've not mentioned here is, if there is a certain emotion or feeling that you experience but don't like the experience of it, do not push yourself to not feel to feel otherwise. If you're sad, you're sad. If you're happy, you're happy. If you're disturbed, you're disturbed. You cannot tell yourself that no, I'm not disturbed. Now that's like that's being an ostrich. Allow yourself to feel that emotion. Let that emotion or feeling pass through you. You will grow past it only after having felt it enough. You might want to journal, write down how you feel, or share it with a loved one or a person that you trust, but feel it, acknowledge it, accept that you're feeling it, let yourself experience it, pamper yourself if you want, if need be. Take your 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 hours a day, 2 days. Here's the magical thing that I do, and that has helped me a great deal. I look at the situation, I look at that feeling, and I give myself a timeline right when I start to feel it. That okay, I am feeling heartbroken, I will give myself 2 days to feel it. And in those 2 days, all I do is pamper myself, I indulge in things that I really like, engage myself, I also sit with myself, I let myself feel it. I do not just, occupy myself with things that may or may not matter. I sit with myself and experience that feeling. I let myself feel bad, I let myself cry, and since I've given myself 2 days already, I plan what I'm going to do when I start to feel better. And 2 days from then, even if I don't feel better, I execute my plan of action. And trust me, you may think that you will wait for feeling better in order to get on to your next step, but it actually works the other way around beautifully. So 2 days happen, I do not feel better. I may or may not feel better. Chances are that I do. If I'm self-aware, I know how much time I'm going to take to get over this X feeling. But if I still don't feel better, when I have a plan of action, a list of things to engage myself positively, I get on with it. It's an art to do things when you don't feel like it, and we'll talk about it in another video. I get on, do things, and let those actions drive results which motivate me further, and all of this collectively brings me back to a positive frame of mind, and gradually I get over that negative feeling. Okay, do not run away from negative feelings. Your life cannot be all hunky-dory. So here's my 2 cents. Easier said than done, I know that, and I am not past every feeling. I experience these things myself. I have threats to my top core values, and I am also on my journey to progress, but I always pay a lot of attention to my elements of progress and plan and act. A lot of your plans may not turn out, you may not get an opportunity to execute a lot of your plans, but when you have a plan in place, it makes you operate out of a place of confidence, which drives you to act. Those actions produce some results better than a state of inaction, and those results motivate you to do better. So you do not wait to feel good to be motivated, but you do the things that you aspire to do anyway, and let the results make you feel good and motivate you. So those are my 2 cents. Identify your core values, identify the behaviors that your core values drive, identify how those behaviors look like in your daily life. From those behaviors, identify the threats to your to the behaviors driven by your core values, and sit and really make a plan for all those threats. Plan to acknowledge, accept, and act. Even if acting at the moment means ignoring, do that, but make a plan and start to execute it. Do not wait for feeling like executing it. Easier said than done. Do it. I hope this helped. My name is Shipra Singh, and I've been a learning and development consultant since 2008. You can check my detailed bio by clicking the link below. Hope this helped. Enjoy development, enjoy progress.